Pretty good.
Good.
What's this spring been like for you and your particular position group?
Spring's been awesome. Every day you get to see the guys just go through and live their routine of the daily work, the daily grind, from meetings to lifts, and obviously the on the field process of it. So just seeing how they manage that and competed all at the same time against each other, but also taught each other some different things that one guy experienced, another guy may not have experienced it, but they still got the mental rep of it, so they're able to share those comments with each other. So it was awesome to see how the guys did that. Obviously, that was led by Xavier Scott, and Caleb Patterson has developed himself into a leader, and then even one of the unspoken leaders to a certain extent, Torrey Cox. Right, he went out of his comfort zone a little bit. Torrey is a player. Right, and a player usually is going to just focus on himself and trying to make plays on the field. Well, he's developed himself to stick his chest out a little bit and become a little bit of a guy that's going to take a Mar Reynolds underneath his wing, right, or Robert Jones underneath his wing, and really make sure that the younger guys has a good understanding of how he does things too. So it was really, really good to see how the room has grown, and obviously seeing players continue to get better. That's right there in that middle ground that you're expecting to have a good offseason from, like the Tanner Heckles, big step up for him. The Juice Clarks, big step up for him. And it all comes from the level of synergy you got in the room, you know what I mean? And just so seeing how those guys have produced and worked hard with each other, but ultimately competed to push each other because they know, hey, Coach Parker's going to try and get a guy out there that he can depend on. And who is that? That guy is usually a guy that's going to do what we ask him to do away from the football field. So the guys who did a solid job academically too to make me feel, and obviously the coaching staff feel very, very good way about them.
Corey, can you walk us through the process with Ahen about not who you play, but maybe where you play them? I'm thinking like guys like Tanner Heckel and Tyson Rooks, where you want to get them on the field, but where do we play them?
Yeah, so I think the process ultimately starts with training each guy to just be a defensive back, right? And what I mean by that is the mental capacity that it takes to do what we do. Teach them to have a short memory, teach them to compete at the line of scrimmage, whether they're in press or whether they're coming off of a block disengage. So we teach them those things, those fundamental things that the room has to do. And then from there, I think Coach Ahen has an intriguing way of identifying the skill set each guy has. That'll say, okay, maybe let's start him off at nickel and then let's work him outside at corner, or let's start him at nickel and let's work him further inside at safety. And you've seen that, with so many different guys. So I think that has been one of the more positive things, that the guys all have an understanding of what we're doing on defense. So it's not a question in their mind on paralysis by analysis. They're not thinking too much. They're out there, running fast and playing hard because we give them these fundamental things we want defensive backs to do. But then we also identify the skill set that they have, and we try and put them in a position ultimately to be successful in their own skin, who they are as a player. So it's not just we're trying to put a square inside of a circle. We're trying to make sure each and every player has a clear opportunity and understanding of what we expect from them, what they should expect from us, and most of all, that's when you get the best out of those guys. So hopefully that answered that question, but that's how we started off. We give them a bare minimum of these are the things that a DB got to do. Whether you're corner, whether you're safety, whether you're boundary safety, whether you're free safety, whether you're nickel, these are the things you got to do. If you do these things well, you give the team a chance to win. And so when you teach it like that, whole part whole, now the guys got a clear understanding of really how do you fit in to what we're really trying to do ultimately as a defense.
Coach, we keep hearing about Tanner Heckel every time we talk to one of the coaches, and we know he's a great athlete. Has he progressed from just knowing the position well enough where you would feel good about throwing him out on that island, say in a Big Ten game? Or?
So just as I just stated, right, it's all started with where he started per se. He was a nickel all last year. He started off inside. So he had to particularly learn what was going on with defensive run fits. He had to learn what was going on with the safeties. So now when you step outside as a corner, now you're empowered by information. You know what else is going on around you, so you can play so much faster. So he's not just using his natural speed and athleticism and gifts and explosiveness. He's actually using information in his head that tells him, hey, I can trigger fast on this route because I know where the nickel is going to be because I used to be that guy. So you take a guy that's smart and that wants to continuously grow as a player, but you also take his skill set, you put those things together because you're teaching them whole. You teach them how to be a DB and not just a corner or not just a nickel. We're trying to give these guys as much market availability as possible. If the NFL ever comes a calling, now when they come and take a look at our defensive backs, they can see, wow, Xavier Scott can play corner, nickel, safety. Tanner Heckman can play corner, nickel, safety. We want all the guys to be able to show how many skills that they have because you can't control the picks that these teams have. They may have a really, really good corner, but they need a nickel. Well, it's your fault as a coach, as a program, if you can develop your guy to be the best DB no matter what. And that's what we want to have, the best DB no matter what the position is. Got all five positions. So we want a 5-spoke positional DB where he's got every single spoke in his wheel ready to go and he can get rolling as you need him.
Given your role, I feel like I have to ask, with Tyler Strain entering the portal, from your purview, what was your, I guess, evaluation of what led to that?
Well, Tyler's a great kid, right? And we want to see Tyler go be the best version of Tyler wherever he's at, whether that's staying here with us or whether that's going into the portal and seeing if there's another opportunity for him somewhere else. So my evaluation of that is just to continuously cheer that kid on because at the end of the day, I'm going to have a relationship with him after this football thing is all said and done anyway. Or when I'm 20 years from now, right, when that dude is dang on in his 40s and I'm in my 60s, we're still going to talk. So the reality of it is you build lifelong relationships with players because that's what you really mean. You want this to be lifelong. You want this to be something that no matter what, you're always coach, he's always player. He can always reach out to you for some idea about growing up and being a man. And when the players see that, no matter whether they go into the portal or not, they know they're being coached by real people, not a dang on robot that's just there, just programming them to do what you need them to do while you have them. So I would rather be authentic. I would rather give and receive whatever they want to talk about, but ultimately have an open up heart so that when those tough conversations come up, it's not as hurtful, right? It's not disappointing. It's I understand. How can we support you?
Was it a thing about, was it something that was it like, did the room get too crowded, or what was your kind of evaluation of the on-field performance in terms of, was it maybe the room too crowded, or what did you think of?
Well, around here at Illinois, one thing we believe in is speaking for ourselves. So I can't speak for Tyler in his particular decision on the why. I can't speak on the what because I'm not inside of his brain. All I can do is speak for what actually happened. And what actually happened is he decided to go into the portal and we decided to support him if he needs anything from us as a program. And most importantly, speaking for myself, if he needs anything from me as a coach. Right, for me as a mentor to be there for him through this process as well. It's hard enough, right? You don't want a kid going through any type of mental stress or any mental issues with the fact that, oh, they're upset with me or how do they feel about this? I want you to feel how you need to feel about this because we're going to support you no matter what, and that's being real.
Can I ask you about your two freshmen? You're doing my math right, two, Zanai and RJ. What have they shown you this spring and how have they grown?
Competitive drive. Those guys have obviously been programmed by good high school programs on how to play football the right way. But then again, you only know what you know. So when you get here, you don't know when the ball is away from you, how fast you still got to run in pursuit to still get on your correct pursuit angle to the ball. So those guys have been able to take in what they have already known and been able to come and grow and understand and learn. And you still don't know enough. I still got to work to get better. So the help from, like I said, those veterans around them with Xavier Scott or even Tyler Strain was on the sideline helping out. When you're not in uniform, you're an assistant coach is the expectation of the guys. And that's how Coach Bielema has it for those guys to communicate with those players on a day-to-day basis. So it's really, really good to see how those guys have grown because they're not just getting one voice and one message from me and Coach Ahen. They're getting it from multiple guys, their teammates and the guys on the sideline to coach them while they're on the sideline watching, taking mental reps until they go out there.
What have you seen from Amar and Vernon now in their second year at least with you guys?
Definitely some growth, some pushing of the depth, putting themselves in position to really get out there and compete. Very reminiscent of when I got here and really trying to grow Juice Clark, right? Really trying to grow Caleb Patterson. And those guys are now taking on prominent roles where they're now starters. They're now guys just in our 2 deep that you can really depend on this group of guys now are trying to put themselves inside of that boat, saying, hey, coach, I'm dependable. And how you do that? By continuously practicing well, continuously doing stuff well off the field, but ultimately doing something on special teams too, so that can help our team win.
Did some things on the track a couple weeks ago that got some attention.
Yes.
What's your excitement level to get him here, and how do you see that speed maybe translate in game reps?
Tremendously excited to get him here, and obviously I knew he had that type of explosiveness. You know, Dad and I always talk about that type of stuff. Tori and I talks about that type of stuff, and obviously Mom and his twin sister does as well. So we knew he had that in him. He's a high level competitor, and when you have that type of high level competitor and that type of speed, when those type of players come into your program, you got to be ready to coach them right now because they're ready to learn. They're ready to get better. So really excited about day one when he steps in here in June and seeing how he's going to come in and compete and push that depth again. Really get yourself some opportunity out there on the field, but ultimately let everybody in the room know, hey, I'm coming to play. I'm coming to participate. I'm coming to perform. So excited to see how Mr. Cox is going to come in and be the little brother trying to become a big brother very, very fast.
Where's this current group at as far as the experience to be able to have a lot of pre-snap movement and stem the coverages? And kind of going back a few years before you were here,
Yes,
that was kind of the group they had. But
Yes.
a bunch of NFL guys, they were to that point where
Yes.
they could do that kind of thing. Do you feel good about this group, where they're at as experience-wise?
I feel great about this group and their experience. I mean, you're talking about guys that have played big snaps and big games and dealt with the good, the bad, and ugly of football, right? Coming in here after a loss. How does that feel? Those guys know how it feels. The celebration of the crowd rushing the field. They know how that feels, but they also know how it feels to communicate in a very loud stadium like at Penn State. They know how to communicate in a very large facility like Oregon. They know how to communicate and see and know where each other are going to be in bunch and cluster situations, so how to defend it. So they're almost thinking all the same, and they almost not necessarily assume, but they can project. Matt's going to call this in this particular look, so I can show this and then do that. So a lot of our pre-snap movements and a lot of the things that we're capable of doing now are specific to the fact that we're trying to show you one picture and do something else. And when you got veterans out there, you really got a chance to do a lot of that stuff, which makes us very, very excited as coaches, because we're not telling you how to stem and how to show. They're doing it naturally on their own. And when you take that as a player and you're empowered as a player to do that, you feel the freedom to get out there and run and make plays and show a quarterback one thing and do something else. So we tried to do that with Coach Art and Luke, right, and Coach Barry this spring. Whether it worked or not, that's another story. That's a three good group of men. But we pressed them and we tried to make sure that our guys knew. Show those guys different pictures, because when somebody else shows them a different picture, they'll be ready for it just because we did it at practice. And that's what the family is all about. That's what we do. Try and give each other some rigor so that no matter what, when we get to game day, they ain't seen nothing. They ain't seen that from us at practice before.
The term we